An emergency situation remains in place in Niscemi, Sicily, today. The ancient city, perched on clay and sandstone cliffs, was again shaken by alarming ground movements. An hour before sunset, as the light began to fade, residents reported the ground moving again. The surface of the earth appeared to be lifting in several spots, as if being pushed from beneath by an invisible force. Shortly afterward, a loud rumbling sound shook the land of Niscemi. The tremors sounded like large chunks of rock breaking off and falling into the ravine below the city. Large cracks now rip through several areas of Niscemi. Long fissures are visible in fields, yards, and even roads, indicating that the landslide is still active and unstable. The landslide not only damaged the slopes, but also caused several houses to collapse in the most affected areas. Some buildings partially collapsed, while others suffered serious structural damage. Major roads suffered large cracks, cutting off access between areas. Residential yards split, fences collapsed, and basic infrastructure, such as water mains, was affected. Technical teams continue to evaluate the remaining buildings. Several properties have been declared uninhabitable due to the risk of collapse. Evacuations are being carried out in stages for safety reasons. Civil protection teams are working around the clock, monitoring landslides and assisting with the evacuation process. Several families are now living in temporary shelters under strict supervision. The government is ensuring their basic needs are met while awaiting developments. The city's symbol of hope, a cross in the Sante Croce area that stood at the forefront of the landslide, also collapsed. The ground beneath the monument collapsed and dragged it into the ravine. The mayor of Niscemi, Massimiliano Conti, expressed his sorrow. The cross had previously served as a symbol of the residents' resilience after a major landslide struck the city in 1997. The monument was erected to commemorate the church affected by the disaster and received national attention. The central and regional governments are ramping up their emergency response. The head of the Civil Protection Department, Fabio Siciliano, conducted an on-site inspection and met with the mayor at the City Operations Center to evaluate the response. The head of Regional Civil Protection, Salvatore Coccina, emphasized that the phenomenon is highly complex and remains active. Direct and indirect investigations are ongoing after the team directly inspected the landslide front. A team of experts from the INGV, an experimental geophysical observatory, and universities in Catania, Enna, and Rome continue to collect data. Regular monitoring is being conducted to detect potential further landslides and ground movement patterns. Around 10 families have been relocated to government-provided facilities and are receiving basic needs assistance. Authorities, including the police, will verify the provision of CAS, independent housing assistance, for residents whose homes are no longer habitable. The Minister of Civil Protection and Maritime Policy, Nello Musumeci, stated that Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni is scheduled to return to Niscemi in the coming days to monitor the evolving crisis. Support is also coming from the private sector, including an emergency fundraising campaign by Confindustria Catania. As of today, Niscemi remains on high alert. Large cracks are still visible. Occasional rumbling sounds can be heard from the edge of the cliff, and the ground continues to show signs of movement. Residents live in uncertainty, hoping their ancient city will survive the approaching threat of destruction.